Hi everyone, this is Bev Gerard, also known as TexasGrammy, and today I'd like to share with you a tutorial on how to create your own three-dimensional snowflakes from designer series paper. The paper I've used is Stampin' Up's Afternoon Picnic from the 2013-2014 catalog. I do recommend that you use a double-sided scrapbook paper rather than cardstock. The cardstock is not nearly as flexible, and you'll get results with a lot more wrinkles and folded bends where you didn't intend to see wrinkles or folds. Let's take a look at the supplies you're going to need for your own three-dimensional snowflake project. You are going to need some glue dots. You can use double-sided tape, but I'll explain later why I prefer to use glue dots. You will need a pencil for marking your template, a ruler for making that template. You will need a stapler for the very end of the project. You'll need ribbon appropriate for hanging your snowflake. All important, paper snips, 12 by 12 double-sided paper, and you'll need your paper trimmer, of course. The first thing we're going to do is cut this designer paper into 3-inch squares. So let's just go ahead and do that. All snowflakes are 6-sided, so you'll obviously want 6 of those 3-inch squares. Now I have 6 3-inch squares. With each one of your 3-inch squares, you're going to fold your paper from one opposite corner to the other. That's your beginning fold. Now, along this folded edge, you're going to take one of the folded edge corners over to match the other tip of the folded edge. Okay, now that we've got our twice folded square, these two sides are the same length, and the idea is we're going to cut each one of these sides into 3 equal portions. The way I did that was I measured the length of this bottom edge. Mine came out to be 2 1/16 inches long. With the help of a calculator, I've determined that my measurements for my project on a 3-inch square will be to mark each cut that I'm going to need at 11/16. So I could do that with a pencil and this ruler right now, but instead, that's why I chose to have a piece of cardstock. I could mark 11/16 twice on each one of 6 pieces. Remember, I still have 5 more pieces to fold. But instead of marking, of using the ruler every time, I chose to make a template. I got it, just a scrap piece of cardstock, and I set it along my ruler. I marked 11/16 and 11/16, and it doesn't matter to me how long it is because I'm not going to use this part. And I'm just setting that template right here along the bottom of my project. The bottom of my folded square, rather. I'm just going to make a little bitty mark right there and a little bitty mark right there. And I'm going to turn it now. There's my folded edge. I'm going to turn it to the other edge that's the same length. And I'm just going to do the very same thing. I'm matching it end to end right here. I'm marking that 11/16 mark right there and right there. And now this is ready to go. Now, what we're aiming to do is to cut from this mark straight over to this mark. However, if you cut all the way across, you've simply cut the tip off of a triangle. So we actually do not cut all the way. Just aim your blades toward that other mark and stop shy of the mark itself. Again, put your blades on this mark, aim the blades towards that second mark, and we're not going to cut all the way to the mark, or we would just slice off another part of the triangle. We don't want to do that. You'll open, open again, and now you can see that you have your tip, your pointed ends will fold up, and this will be where you start to build your curled snowflake piece. Remember, you're going to have to do this process on 6 times. You've got your other squares, so you will need to repeat this same process. Start on the inside, you'll have 2 little peaks right here, and just as before, we're going to be matching opposite corners, and I will literally be rolling this over and adhering it this way. First, I'm going to put a little glue dot right there on one of the tips. And I'm just going to gently fold that over. Matching up that folding line with the other tip is an easy way to make sure that you're keeping everything straight. Here's where it likes to crease a little bit. So the way I've gotten around that is I use my pencil to kind of keep things rounded, and that allows me to make sure I get the adhesive down nice, but I don't really smush that into a crease. You've got one corner folded over. Now, flip the project. You're looking at the other side now. Here's the next 2 corners you're going to use. You will put adhesive here and fold it over to adhere on the next flap. Okay, here we go. Take my glue dot. Adhere it to the corner, and now I just simply match the corners, match the opposite corner. And here's, as I was making my first one, I thought, well, how far over do you fold this point? And my answer to that is, it doesn't really matter as long as you choose to fold it over the same distance on each piece. Consistency is the key to a balanced looking project here. In my opinion, there's not a hard set rule on how far over to move this point. I could have moved it clear over to match there. I could have scooted it back farther this way. So my answer is just whatever whatever feels good to you when you fold it over that first time, be consistent on the rest of your pieces. Turn your project back to the beginning. And now we're going to take these two opposite corners. We're going to fold them. Apply my glue dot. Make sure those are stuck really well. And there's my first piece. Remember, this was a 3-inch square, and this is just over 4 inches. So by the time we have used all 6, we'll have an 8-inch diameter snowflake or so. Now, hopefully you have 6 folded pieces. You're going to want them aiming all in the same direction. And when you're playing with your own pieces, I think you'll see what I mean. These are all aimed in the same direction. Whoops, get that down here where you can see it. What I mean by the same direction is the little folded area is on one side, and the larger folded area is on the other side, rather than having something mixed like that. And now, actually, the way we're going to get a snowflake out of this is to meet all of these inside corners with a glue dot and eventually with a stapler. This is the hardest part. It's like, so get your points all lined up, like I said, facing the same direction. We're going to bring these lower points all together one by one. You'll need a glue dot. They're facing the same direction. And I'm going to lay this one into its matching corner there. And I'm going to press really good to make sure the adhesive sticks. You can use double-sided tape here if you like, but honestly, it takes a lot of ripping off little bitty strips of double-sided tape, and that's why I opt to use glue dots. It's a little better adhesive on my Stampin' Up! Glue dots, and they're just so much easier to apply. Really cramped for space in here now. Make sure you have things still facing all in the same direction. Yes, there we go. Okay. What's the new term? Awesome sauce. Now, I'm not letting go of this because on a smaller size like this one, usable area is tight, as you can see, and I need to fit a stapler right in here. And sometimes I have to go for it a second time, so I'm just trying to see if I can get it to go right the first time. Try to get as many edges all squared up as possible there. Get my finger down here as far away from the action as I can. think it worked. Okay, as you can see, I covered my workspace with a couple of paper towels, and I've opted to go ahead and add on one more item that I'm using for this project. You can add it to your project list if you like. This is Stampin' Up's Vanilla Smooch Spritz, and I'm simply going to spritz my finished project 3 or 4 times, 4 or 5 times, and let that dry. Okay, everyone, let's see if I can get you to see the shimmer better. I'm just going to turn it around. There, I can see it on my monitor, my little screen, so I hope you can see the shimmer given this paper by the Vanilla Smooch Spritz. And now all it takes is just a little bit of appropriate ribbons. I love the new Stampin' Up! Silver ribbon. Tie it in a little loop up on top for hanging from a pin or wherever. Here's the other one I made, and I'll probably make another one out of yet another one of our Stampin' Up! Papers, just to make a nice threesome here in the studio. I have one more thing I'd like to share with you about making these 3-dimensional snowflakes. Well, that wraps it up for my 3D snowflake tutorial. I hope you learned something new here today. I hope to see you here again really soon. Bye now.